My name is McKenna Ewan. I'm a multimedia producer at the Star Tribune, and I started working with online video when I was in high school. And my buddies and I basically had a YouTube channel where we would put up these funny videos that we would create in our spare time. And we started to look at it, and we were getting a pretty good audience with some of the stuff we were putting up. In one video, it was a Mario Kart spoof where we all dressed up in costumes and scootered around our high school. Actually had about 100,000 people watch it. And at that time I started to realize this is a pretty powerful tool. And a lot of people were seeing this video. And so I started to think, what if you could do this with something that mattered? What if you could do something more important but reach that same audience? And that's how I got into where I am today. Today on my to-do list I have two things. I'll be headed to the fair where we'll be doing an interview with Governor Mark Dayton, and then shortly after that I'll be headed to Minneapolis South for their football practice. It'll be a prep sports story. So a lot of times my day changes a lot, and it changes very quickly, and it's kind of the nature of news. With breaking news, it's a huge traffic driver on our website. A lot of people like to see what's going on right now, and so inside this building we have a few people who are ready to go at any time to something, a last minute press conference that was just announced, a B truck rolls over on 35W. Basically my job is whatever people want to see happening right now, I have to go find it, and then I have to bring it to them. A lot of times I joke that with my job, whatever people are talking about during the day is what I have to go find. The biggest thing that has changed about my job is there's much more buy-in throughout the newsroom about what we are doing online. It used to be something where if you wanted to do a multimedia package or a video, you would have to really get after some reporters to make it part of their reporting process. It was considered to be kind of a hindrance, and there wasn't that same level of support throughout leadership in this building. And now it's definitely changed. Pretty much every editor on every desk is thinking about video every morning they wake up. They're thinking about photos every time when they're at a story meeting. And that's made my job a lot easier, because people want to do great visual journalism in this building, and specifically online journalism. And it's really a digital first focus. When I was in college, I kind of had the mentality that everything that I would do had to be on my own. And if I wanted to get it done, I would have to learn whatever it is that I wanted to do so I could get it done. And it's something that I wish I would have done a little bit differently. I think there is a lot of value in learning to collaborate with other people and to really work off other people's skill sets. One example is, when I'm in college, I'm trying to learn how to code every single different type of coding language to do the project that I want, rather than working with somebody who has that as their strength and who has a similar goal in mind or want to do a similar project. And I think that's what's beneficial about being in a larger newsroom, is you don't have the feeling that you have to do everything yourself. The most helpful classes that I took at the U were actually the classes that were opposite of my skill set. They're the ones that challenged me in a different way, and really focused on some of my weaknesses. The ones that I took away the most from were actually classes about print reporting. They were classes about web development, because those were things that going into the class I would consider a weakness. One of the things that I did when I started at the U was I worked at the Daily my freshman year, and I'm not much of a writer. I can write, but it's not what I like to do, but I knew that it would help me with video. And there's no way that I would have the position that I'm at now if I only took the classes that focused on my strengths and ignored what were fundamental skill sets but I didn't have going into my freshman year. So by focusing on the classes that I wasn't so great at, I think opened up opportunities like the one where I'm at now. The biggest thing that we look for in young reporters or young journalists is more ambition than anything else. When you go into your internship, you don't know more than everybody in the newsroom. So just kind of like embrace it. Ask a lot of questions, be ambitious, and be open to opportunities. I mean, I think when I look at the interns that we've had that have been the best are more the ones that are eager to learn than anything else. It's not as much about their skill set versus how much enthusiasm they bring to what they do and how much they care and how eager they are to learn more about the workplace, to learn more about what you do in this building. When I look at my career, I don't look at myself as a journalist first. I look at myself as a storyteller first. And I think that makes yourself much more open to opportunities outside of this building. So to say, I'm confident that I can tell a story better than anybody else who is going for this job, then I think that's the position that I want to be in. I think we get really caught up in the idea that I'm a journalist, I do news, and therefore I am different than everybody else, when really a large part of journalism is storytelling. And there's a lot of people who do really great storytelling, and they do it for similar objectives, you know, not necessarily to favor one company or to favor one political party, but because there's a larger mission at what they do. And that's still really, really valuable storytelling. And so when I look at my job, that's how I see myself fitting in. I don't know how long newspapers are going to be this viable company that's producing a lot of online video. I don't know that. And you look at like 3-a-day weeklies, and it's not particularly promising. But I know that if I'm always doing if the work that I do is always driven by the idea that I want to tell the best stories, there are a lot of organizations, some news, some not, that will value that skill set. The most challenging about my job here is balancing what I find meaningful and what I find fun. And the reason that I got into this job is because I found a lot of value in storytelling, because I found a lot of value in the journalistic work that we do. But a lot of the work that I do, I also find very enjoyable. Traveling on the road to Vikings games, I can't say is particularly meaningful. It's not really doing, maybe it is a public service, but it's not the type of work that I got into this business to do. But I still love doing it. I enjoy going to the games. I enjoy being up close on the sideline. And so that's kind of what I'm always balancing is, how does this fit into the reason why I'm working here, or is this just fun? And if it's just fun, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but how do you balance the two? The most exciting part about my job is that when other people say they love their job because it's different every day, I get to laugh because I know that it's not really that different, that my job is the one that's that different. My job is the one where in the morning I'm at a political convention, in the afternoon I am at a football game, and in the evening I'm watching some B truck roll over on 35W as passengers run out screaming. It is very, very, very different every day. There is no beat. There is no specialty per se. It is, you want to be the person who is there when the news happens, regardless of what that news is, and be the best person to tell it. I was at Minneapolis South, and we were shooting a video, a prep sports video about their football team. And just towards the end of practice, I saw a couple Secret Service guys line up around the field. And I was like, this could only be 2 people. And I know the president's in D.C., so it had to be Joe Biden. And I remembered he was speaking in Minneapolis. So about 10 minutes later, Joe Biden rolls out onto the field, followed by about 50 traveling press members. And all of them are constrained to the end zone. They can't go anywhere near it. And here's me with the high school football team, the only one there right in the center of the action. So Joe Biden starts walking right towards us, and we shoot the whole thing, and it was awesome. And then we had a couple photographers who were in the press pool, and later on they joked with me and they said the White House was going to try and pull you out of there, but they thought that you were actually a high school student at Minneapolis South and you were with the team, and so we can't remove him from the situation because he was there before we were. So at the time, the White House had no idea that I was shooting for a newspaper. They freaked out after because they didn't know what Joe said while the cameras weren't all rolling. And it turned out to be a really awesome situation.